Fire and Ambulance Department says it is fully prepared to deal with any emergency during the two one-day international games in Dominica. The West Indies will take on South Africa on May 28th and 30th in Dominica.
Yeah, the Fire and Ambulance Services is well organized or prepared to provide coverage to the public for the 2 days of international cricket, West Indies versus South Africa. I say so in terms of both our ambulances and fire appliances. Our presence will be felt at the Windsor Park for these 2 days, giving full coverage to the public as relates to fire officers. Prior to the game, we had what you call a simulation exercise, which involved the Red Cross, the police, and the fire department, also the hospital. That we simulated like adventure that something is to happen, God forbid, that we would be well prepared and ready to perform our duties at the park. That took place somewhere, I think, 2 Saturdays back, and it was well organized, well put forward.
PRO for the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Services, Philbert Samuel. Over $39,000 in fines is to be paid by 9 Venezuelans who were captured in a boat just off the coast of Roseau in January. The 9 men who were sentenced by Magistrate Tiani Bienz on Tuesday were found guilty of 4 custom charges and not guilty of an obstruction under the Drugs Act last week. Police PRO Inspector Claude Wicks has more details.
You're well aware that in January, 9 Venezuelans, age range between 21 and 51 years old, were arrested at sea within the territorial waters of Dominica, that is in mid-January. And these men were charged under the Customs Act and also under the drug, that is the obstruction, under the Drug Obstruction Act. This, of course, went through just for about under 5 months, and the trial concluded yesterday when the sentence was handed down by His Worship Mr. Bihanzin. The 9 Venezuelans were convicted under the customs charges. The charge of obstruction under the Drug Act, that charge was dismissed as there was not sufficient evidence to establish a prima facie case. But nevertheless, they will fine $48,000, that is collectively, to be paid forthwith. And alternatively, that is, if they fail to do so, then they would be imprisoned for ranging from 6 months to 6 weeks. As I speak with you, they are on remand at the state prisons pending the fulfillment of that fine. That is a clear demonstration that the criminal justice system in Dominica, the administration of justice in Dominica, is working. This is a positive sign that the system is working, notwithstanding the many comments, negative comments, and the feelings of wide cross-section of our society who believe that the police or the law enforcement apparatus seem not to be fulfilling the law, or they're very discriminatory or selective when exercising that function. But I just want to egg on the citizenry to let them know that the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force will continue to exercise its function without fear or favor. We have a mandate to fulfill, and we'll do that with utmost energy, of course, and fairness.
And that's Police PRO Inspector Claude Weeks. Assistant Superintendent of Police Evan Alexander says the issue of equal rights and opportunities for females in the workplace are still a cause for serious concern within the police force. She was addressing the Women's Magazine program on Kairi FM. She says 80% of the applicants for the enlistment in the police force are females.
The applicants, 80% females. I am not for any minute suggesting that you recruit 80% females, because the applicants are 80% females. To every 10 applications you get for enlistment in the police force, 8 are women, 2 are men. Our recruitment practices still predominantly male. And I'm not saying that we can change that by virtue of the type of job that policing is. We cannot necessarily change that. But what I'm asking is, let us review what is happening there, because you see what is going to happen is you will begin diluting the standard for enlistment for males, because you're looking for more males. And you may be losing the opportunity to get some really bright and promising that may turn out to be committed and dedicated females on board if we just stick to the status quo. We don't have to change the status quo overnight. What we have to do is review what we are doing and probably be determined based on even some of the articles in the Convention of the Rights of the Child. One particular article that speaks to putting a system in place where you include many more females within certain boundaries. Beyond that, we have the situation of many more females in college, many more females completing high school, many more males dropping out. No, you do not change the recruitment practices overnight. No, you do not recruit 80% females. But can we say, let's say, by 2015, we may want to see 20% females in the police force?
Assistant Superintendent of Police, Yvonne Alexander. Tourism consultant Sobers Esprit says the linkage between festival events and tourism is critical. Dominica is observing Tourism Awareness Month in May. Esprit says Dominica needs to move towards cultural tourism.
Because for islands like ours, as tourist destinations, we have to be different from the rest, because as you know, the tourism industry is a worldwide industry. Almost every country, in fact, is really involved in the tourism business. So we have to stand out and be different. And cultural tourism or festivals, festivals is part of cultural tourism. Is an important part of what is happening now. The recognition, in terms of trying to explain to our listeners that one of the ways we think that our tourism will grow and must grow is by what we call the niche market approach or specialty tourism, and festivals and events is really one of those areas that we think that we need to focus attention on at this time. As you know, we have been promoting a number of events in Dominica. There are two major ones, the World Creole Music Festival and Mass Dominique, but there are smaller events like Die Fest, High Fest, the Emancipation Festival, Domfesta, and there are several village festivals that have been going on in Dominica for centuries.
Tourism consultant Sobers Esprit. 3 Dominican short documentary films will be selected for an inclusion in the International Film Development Project of the Bolivarian Alternative for the Americas ALBA. This as Dominica makes its first entry into the Dominica-ALBA Cultural Connection, which could help in further understanding of the member countries of the ALBA. Dominica's ALBA coordinator Dr. Philbert Aaron says the Dominica-ALBA Cultural Connection is timely.
The Prime Minister's office is very pleased to announce Dominica's participation in Cultural ALBA, the division of ALBA responsible for culture. ALBA has helped to develop such sectors as energy and public works in Dominica in a way that has helped to help us succeed in the face of the global financial and economic crisis. Now ALBA is entering the important area of cultural industries by way of film. And this is just perfect timing as Dominican cinema is experiencing a growth spurt, as Dominicans see film as an economic and cultural endeavor that unites people. Through this first project, the 3 Dominican short documentary films will be selected for possible inclusion in an international film development project of ALBA. A Dominican national jury will select those 3 Dominica submissions for later decision by an international jury to include Dominica. 7 projects will be chosen overall. But this represents the entry of Dominica and the ALBA into a very important area away from and in addition to the traditional activities of energy, of oil, of sea defense works and so forth, and shows that the ALBA continues to be a major force for development in Dominica.
Dr. Aaron says this major initiative could enable Dominicans to participate in the international cultural industry. He says assistance in cultural documents and the building of cultural infrastructure are on the cards.
Actually, what it does, it enables further understanding of the member countries of the ALBA. We have economic relations. What we are also trying to do is to understand each other much better. And there is no better instrument for doing that, for mutual understanding, than culture. And this will include not just film, but book publications, arts, and musical instruments and so forth.